So next, I'd like to toss it over to Neville to talk a little bit about Kasabi and what you're up to. And also, successfully, as he just informed me, he's just convinced VCs that cordless phones are not going to disappear anytime soon and replaced by cell phones or headphones in your laptop. So we're going to hear a little bit more about Kasabi's products, what need you're trying to fill, and a little bit about the company.
Okay.
Great.
So it's interesting. It's not really just cordless phones. I've been running this company since June, and I've had a pretty interesting career. I was early in Palm, right through to taking it to #1 market share in Europe and Asia and going public. I then ran a joint venture with News Corp. And more recently, I took a company from early stages to be the largest mobile messaging company worldwide in Mobile 365, doing 3 billion transactions a month. And we sold that to Sybase for $425 million, which was a 10x for my investors. But when I was looking for my next gig, so my whole world has been in mobile the last 10, 15 years, mobile phones, wireless networks, BT wireless, mobile devices. I really looked at the mobile industry, and I couldn't find anything that was really different and had traction. So I looked at mobile advertising. That was even more challenging because of the client, the carriers, and everything else on delivery. And Mayfield, a venture capital company, one of the best, he's backed me several times, introduced me to Kasabi. And it's interesting. I met with the founders of Kasabi, and I just didn't get it first time. I had to go back, and I finally got it. And what we do at Kasabi is we deliver portal services, not to cordless phones, but IP-connected phones. So there's a whole generation of new hardware coming on the market that is IP-ready. So in the first phase, the manufacturers have enabled their cordless phones to make VoIP calls, whether it be Skype, Yahoo peer-to-peer, AOL. Peer-to-peer calling is becoming a growth area. But there are more IP-connected devices coming as this market grows. Now, the carriers, on the other hand, are starting to deploy VoIP-based services to compete with the Vonage of the world, which is a new entrant. But nobody had really thought about who provides the service to this device. So you had hardware that was IP connected in the home, color screens, more functional, and you had a requirement for carriers to deliver products and services. And so what we've done at Kasabi in the first phase, we've picked a segment of the market where nobody else is. And so it's interesting. Either we'll be completely unsuccessful because we're crazy, or we'll be tremendously successful because we've picked a segment that we can dominate. And the company also had some very interesting technology. In coming back to the home living room, it's always been a challenge to push interactively applications and content into the home. In the early days you could, and then everybody had their firewall and everything else. But the interesting technology is that with the advent of VoIP calling, it created a thin thread in the home firewall to enable that voice over IP call. So what we've done is developed a whole technology on the back of a SIP-soft switch or a major carrier infrastructure SIP. And that allows us to tunnel interactively through the home firewall and deliver applications and services into these home devices. And the paradigm that it comes through when we show people in our focus groups is, so you'll say, my home phone now does everything that my mobile phone does. Yeah, well, it's cool. We really like that. But we can do more than that because we have a broadband connection to this device. So right now, home cordless phones aren't very exciting, but there's a next generation that are becoming much more mobile phone-like. So the next generation will look much more like a Razr phone, larger screen, but it's broadband connected, so there are interesting things you can do to that device. And you're not trying to replace the PC, but you're stretching the PC paradigm to multiple devices, multiple points. So there are simple applications that people love. Applications like you can see the weather when you wake up beside your bed, so you work out how to dress the kids. Applications, you're sitting on the sofa watching American Idol. You can vote from your home phone or receive an instant message. Everybody gets their own profile. Mum, Dad, John, Jim. You have your own profile, so you have your own ringtone, your own content, your own email, your own instant message. So these devices become interesting. And the paradigm of the hardware is moving from dumb devices to pretty interesting devices, but they're very cheap to manufacture. So you don't have the whole subsidy model you have in the mobile world, and you have hardware that's the same price as all the competitors, but it has other services. And so early on, it's very important for a company our size not to create a whole new category. So what we're doing is taking a current category, cordless phones, and making it more interesting. So we've signed a bunch of deals with the leading consumer electronics companies, VTech to one, we've got deals with Motorola, Philips, RTX, a whole bunch of these guys. And what we've done early on, we've just made a better experience on the phone in the home. So things like network-based address book. So your telephone numbers from Outlook are now available on the home phone. Simple things like having the weather available and some simple content instant messaging become interesting. But here's where the thing becomes really compelling. All new startups have to find a killer application and a way to make money. And the current trend in the web world is it's all free, make money for advertising. So we have a very, very compelling business model. We drive a more valuable product into the home through consumer channels and carrier channels. We have deals with every major US carrier in probably 50% of the leading consumer electronics companies. And so there's a killer app that we can make money without ever having to have a billing relationship with the customer. And what's happening is the industry has traditionally been paid on click-throughs, the Google model. But that hasn't been very compelling, and so there's a next generation of performance-based advertising called pay-per-call. So if you're a plumber, you don't really care about a click-through, but the average plumber will pay $8 from a call from a consumer, because if you call a plumber, you're probably going to have a service call. So what we've done with this hardware platform, we've added a bunch of simple apps that make it more interesting, but on the back end, we have an infrastructure that allows us to make pay-per-call transactions from your home phone. So today, you probably have three options. You go to Yellow Pages to look up a plumber. You could go to Google. Or with this solution, you pick up your cordless phone, which is in almost every room in the house, a couple of clicks, and you can get to a plumber. Now, what's really interesting is we can insert ads in there as well, but from the consumer, it's absolutely free, just like 411. And because we developed our technology on SIP, they click on a plumber, and it directly connects them to that plumber. So that transaction is free from the consumer. The plumber loves to get the call because it's probably going to be a 160 service call. And the plumber will pay the ad agency, whether it be Yahoo or Google, $8 to receive that call. And we're a publisher of that because we distribute. So we've created a model a little bit like Google, but driven right into the home, on the counter, in the bathroom, wherever you have your home phone. And that's why we're getting so much traction. And I think the truth of our traction is that we have deals with Yahoo, AOL, Verizon, Comcast, Cablevision, British Telecom, Orange, Motorola, VTech, Philips, a whole range of people who are very compelled about delivering IP-connected devices in the home. And it's just not about phones. That's the first generation, the Trojan horse to get our presence there. The next generation becomes much more interested. We've got to deal with Hewlett-Packard. They came to us and said, you know, we've got all these printers, these IP printers with a color screen. Can you connect to that? We said, absolutely. It's an IP device. So one of the big deals we're working on is you'll have your Hewlett-Packard wireless printer. It'll have some interesting weather and news and stuff like that. And when you need a printer cartridge, it'll pop up. So would you like us to deliver it directly to your home? And we enable that transaction. We get a revenue share on that printer cartridge. And there's a whole range of IP-connected devices in the home coming, whether it be from the fridge, the phone, the television. And there's an opportunity to extend that paradigm. And because of our technology, we can drive into the home on all IP-connected devices and deliver interesting solutions. But more importantly, we have a very compelling business model where we can make a lot of money on recurring revenue without ever having to have a billing relationship with a customer, just like the Web 2.0s. Now, our business is complex, a lot of technology, a lot of infrastructure, but it's a very compelling business, and we're getting a lot of traction, and difficult stuff is worth money, and so that's how we raise money. So that's really what Kasabi does, and Kasabi stands for Casa, House, Broadband Intelligence, and we really are making a lot of traction and having a lot of fun at the same time.
Good.